Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now Sell Now on ET Now, and let's start taking all of your stock-related queries, viewers. Remember, you can write to us on the WhatsApp number that is flashing on your screen. Each time you write to us, mention your name, the place that you're writing to us from, the location, mention the buy price, the sell price, buy price, the quantity of the stock, if you've already invested in it, and if you've not invested in it, then do mention the time horizon that you're looking to hold a particular stock after buying, and that way our experts will be able to help you better. Talking about our experts, today we have Forum Chera joining us on the technicals, while on the fundamentals we have Sharmila Joshi on the show. A very good morning to you, Sharmila, as well as Forum. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. And let me start taking all of the stock related queries that are already pouring in. The first one is actually coming in from Gaurav. He's writing to us from Bangalore, and this one is for you, Forum. He wants to know about Adani Enterprises, 100 shares at a price of 3,170 rupees per share. He wants to know whether he should book a loss right now and look to re-enter the stock at a lower price. Do you think that's a prudent strategy? What sort of a trend are you seeing for Adani Enterprises?
Well, into Adani Enterprises, it's not advisable to trade. If you are looking from an investment perspective, then it is fine. Continue to hold on to it. One is that the stock remains into a consolidation in the past 2 months. On the lower side, it's closer to 2,950, and on the higher side, it's closer to 3,300. So it's a very wide range. And currently, the stock price remains in a very crucial point, that is between the multiple moving averages of 200-day moving average on the lower side and 50 and 100 on the higher side. So it's in a very, very, I would say, a range-bound situation. So do not touch or do anything. Continue to hold on to it. And you can expect the stock price to again move back to 3,300. For a safer side, just maintain a very strict stop loss if the price has to breach 2,950 on a closing basis.
Thomas George from Chennai, he's holding 15 shares of Tata Elxsi, bought at a price of 9,254. He's been holding this counter for the last 3 years. Sharmila, he wants to know whether should he continue to hold this counter and expect some reasonable returns, or just sell and book loss currently?
See, I think the issue is that he's two issues really. One is that he's bought at a very high price, and already I think at that point in time the valuation must have been like really rich. And the second issue with Tata Elxsi is that it's a very good mid-cap IT, but the problem that happens with these sort of niche ITs is that if the sector that they're catering to, if you see sort of a little bit of a downturn or not really great numbers from there or some sort of a slowdown, then you see these sort of stocks, their earnings, they get impacted. So because earnings tend to be a little lumpy where mid-cap IT is concerned, you also see that, the sort of stock price graph is not an upward or a flattish one the way we have with large-cap IT. Having said all that, as I said, it's a very good quality mid-cap IT. And if you're not in a hurry, then I would definitely recommend that you stay invested.
Coming back to you actually, Sharmila. This one is coming in from our investor who's a senior citizen, N. Lakshmi Nagini from Hyderabad, who's a long-term investor, and you will realize how long-term the investor is, because the investor has bought, or the viewer has bought 4,800 shares of Vinati Organics at a price of 3 rupees per share at the IPO in the year 1992. So our viewer wants to know what's the future prospect of the company, and whether does it make sense to stay put or book profits right now?
Well, first of all, congratulations. I've been tracking the stock for a really long time. I don't ever remember seeing it at 3. So I don't even know when this was bought. IPO, as the investor said, and the adjusted price must be 3 rupees. Well, in terms of earnings and valuations are okay, but I think maybe last quarter was not that great a quarter for them. But having said all that, I think all this kind of talk is really redundant when you've been holding, when you have the stock at 3 rupees. I think the broader view that one must take over here is that the sector that they're in, as well as the company itself, is on reasonably strong ground. So I don't really see any cause of concern from there. I think the only time you should be concerned is if you really hear some very bad news related to the company or related to the sector, and both are not anywhere on the horizon as far as I can see. So since you're a long-term investor, congratulations. I think this is a good lesson when you hold on to a stock for a reasonably, in a good core sort of sector for a reasonably long period of time. These are the kind of returns you can make. So yes, continue holding.
Next query is from Venkat Ramani from Bangalore. He's holding 500 shares of Olectra Greentech, bought at a price of 1,360. He wants to know whether should he continue to buy more or hold on to what he has currently. He can hold the shares for next 12 to 18 months. Sharmila, what would be your view on this?
Well, I'm a fan of electric vehicles. So the view is sort of divided there, where you will hear a lot of voices that do sort of raise a question mark as to about the sustainability of electric vehicles. But overall, I'm a believer. And that said, I think the numbers for this company have also been good. Valuation also seemed reasonable. So if you have a 12 to 18 month sort of a time horizon, I think that you should continue to hold.
This one is coming in from Abhinandan, who's writing to us from Bangalore, and actually he's asking about Paytm. We did speak about Paytm a short while ago for him, but our viewer has already purchased this one at around 940 rupees per share. So what's your advice to him right now? Though you said that the charts for Paytm among the new age tech stocks is looking attractive, but our viewer is holding it patiently at a much elevated level.
Yes, but it's quite a high price at that he's bought it at, and I do not see those levels coming in very soon. According to me, even if the price has to move to closer to a level of around 650 to 680, we should just look at booking profits and switching from the stock. The reason being is that we are already seeing a rise from those levels of around 340, and now the stock price at 560. So even one has to consider the levels of around 640, 650. That's reasonably doing well from its lows. But since it's high levels, I think he may have to consider booking a loss if even the holding period is closer to 6 months. Just wait for 6 months, but it would be better to switch because the trend overall on a very longer term perspective is yet, I would say, a little skeptical because it's in the sideward range. The near term trend looks quite.
Well, the next query is from Achar from Madurai, Tamil Nadu. It's on 3 stocks. RVNL, Engineers India and Cochin Shipyard. He wants to know whether should he buy these 3 counters for the next 2 to 3 months. Forum, what would be your view here? RVNL, Cochin Shipyard and Engineers India.
To begin with on RVNL, if he can consider looking at buying the stock. Now, overall, we're just seeing a bit of a consolidation in some of the railway stocks. In fact, 2-3 days back, we did see some momentum picking up. So overall, RVNL had done well, also closer to up by around 11%. So good stock, good trend, long term, be it on a weekly, monthly, or even on a daily chart. So since if it's coming down closer to around 540 levels, currently it's at 570, one should consider buying the stock, even from an investment perspective. Secondly, it is on Cochin Shipyard. Cochin Shipyard also has seen a reasonably a good correction from the levels of around 2,900 to closer to a level of around 2,100. So according to me, this kind of a move of close to 800 points of down move is indicating good attractive levels to buy. Technically speaking, the trend is good, even on a weekly as well as a monthly chart. We've seen a fall with less volume, indicating that there is not too much of selling pressure. So one can look at accumulating it. And lastly is Engineers India. Engineers India is something, again, long-term good. So can look at buying not too much, but consider at least 50% of the allocation of total quantity. And wait for around levels of around 225 to around 230 on a closing basis where one can add it. So very close to support level of 200. So it's a very risk-reward ratio, very favorable for Engineers India.
Right. The next one is actually coming to you, Sharmila. This one is coming from L. Opilal, who's a senior citizen. The age of 67 years is what our viewers mentioned, and he's been writing to us consistently. We've not been able to take his queries, so apologies for that. He wants to know, is there any reasonably valued stock in the defense, railway or auto ang space which he can look to invest right now for the longer term? What's your take, Sharmila? Any stock that's coming to your mind which is reasonably valued right now?
So, I think I'd be hard-pressed to find a reasonably valued stock in the entire market, forgetting the defense space. That's really been the best performing space. So, I don't really know. I think that this is a very difficult question to answer, because I think that while there is a lot of value in these stocks, simply because the kind of expertise and the sector that they are in is not something that anybody can replicate. The stock prices have moved way ahead of valuation because sometimes market senses that gap, and when you had a government that was saying that they're going to be spending more, that gap got quickly covered. So now we are in a situation where you don't have that valuation gap anymore. But you were just talking a little while earlier of Engineers India. I think that could be a stock that you could look at. It's not exactly defense, but it does cater slightly. And another could be BEL. So you could, again, I think this is not strictly defense. And within the absolutely defense space, a stock that I continue to like for their capabilities and the kind of growth that I see going ahead would be Hindustan Aeronautics. So maybe a good strategy could be to make a basket of 3-4 stocks and try and buy them at dips. Since we are talking long term, try and buy these stocks when either the sector or the market corrects deeply, but make a basket. I think a basket approach would work better than buying a single stock.
That was Sharmila's view when it comes to the defense space. And with that, let's slip into a short break and we'll address more of your queries post that.
Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now Sell on ET Now. Let's continue taking your queries then. We have Forum Chera on the technicals, while we have Sharmila Joshi on the fundamentals, and a lot of queries actually pouring in today, Sharmila, for fundamental query. But let me try and see if I can squeeze some in for Forum. Okay, yeah, I got one for you, Forum. This one is coming from Nagakumar. He's writing to us from Hyderabad, and he wants to know about Tata Investments. He has about 100 shares of Tata Investments at a price of around 6,800 rupees per share. He's saying he's willing to hold for the next 2 years, but should he hold or should he look to book loss? What's your take coming in on Tata Investment?
Well, he should undoubtedly continue to hold on to it. One is that when in March or April, we saw quite a fall from the levels of around 9,000 or to closer to around a level of 5,400. And since then, the stock price has been in a sideward range, very close to the 200-day moving average, which is very important. But the most important part is that there is a very good positive divergence on RSI. That's the relative strength index technically. So according to me, one should continue to hold on. And since it's a 2-year time horizon that he's willing to hold on, there is no doubt he can hold on. And he can in fact look for an upside target of closer to 7,000 also, which is possible in this year itself.
Next query is from Venkat from Kuwait. He has around 100 shares of ACE, that is Action Construction Equipment, bought at a price of 1,409. Currently, he's at a 10% loss. Should he continue to hold this counter, Sharmila? What would be your view here?
What price, I'm sorry, has the investor bought at?
1,409.
Okay. I think, really speaking, the valuations look reasonable to me, and the results also seem fairly okay. So, and the sector is also fine. So, which is why it really is surprising why the stock should correct so much. Having said that, I think he should be able to recover a 1,400 kind of level on this stock. So, I think stay invested, give it about 12 to 18 months.
This one is coming in from Balan, and Balan wants to know about Balrampur Chini. He's sitting with a profit above 15%. He has Birla Corp 17% profit. However, Bandhan Bank is at a loss. Forum, he wants to know what should he do with these counters, exit any of these, hold any of these. What's your take? And also any buy suggestion he's asking.
Okay, so as first we start with Balrampur Chini. So we've seen lately that there's a good momentum in a lot of these sugar stocks also. So considering specifically Balrampur, one should continue to hold on to it. There is a very short-term resistance near 530. But if this level is taken off, you can expect some further upside towards the levels of even 650. So good increase in volume. So it's an absolute hold as far as Balrampur Chini is concerned. Next is on Bandhan Bank. I think he's making a loss there. So technically the long-term trend is weak on Bandhan Bank. So I wouldn't suggest to consider like staying very long from an investment perspective. But if you're looking from trading, then it's a safe level to average. But at the same time, 206 to 210, he should consider squaring it off and moving out. So that's on Bandhan. And third is?
The third one is Bandhan Bank, Birla Corp, as well as Balrampur Chini, yes.
Okay, so Birla Corp, I think avoid. sure, if he's making a profit, he should just exit it. But otherwise, a fresh entry is not advisable. The trend is weak.
Next queries from B. Soumya from Chennai. He has around. Okay, he hasn't mentioned how many shares he has, but he's holding Sundaram Finance, bought at a price of 4,400. He wants to know whether should he continue to hold this counter or exit. He can hold this counter for the next 6 months. Forum, what would be your view on Sundaram Finance?
Since he can continue to hold on for 6 months or so he should consider levels of around 4,400 if we see some pickup in the momentum to kind of switch or reduce or exit from the stock. I would say not extremely exit, but at least reduce or reduce from the quantity that he would have. The reason being that it's right now trying to take support near 3,700. And if it has to breach those levels, there is some further downside. So a switch stop loss of 3,700 and at 4,400, it's advisable to reduce some position.
All right. This next query that I have is coming in from Parth, and he wants to know about IRB Infra. He's a short-term investor. 67.3 is the buy price. Forum, what's your take? 1,500 shares he has about of IRB Infra right now?
The stock remains into consolidation from an intermediate perspective. So if you consider at least 4 to 5 months also, so I'm not expecting a very big up move. It's capped to around 75 to around 77 levels. So if he's a long-term investor, it's okay to hold on to it. But from trading perspective, I do not see too much of potential. So even if it has to move back to a level of 66, 67, he can consider probably moving out of the position. And as far as the stop loss is concerned, anything below the levels of 59 on a closing basis, he may have to consider exiting the stock because it may turn weak after that.
Next query is from Anuj Gudka, and it's on Dhampur Sugar. He's holding this counter, bought at a price of 249. He wants to hold for long term. Sharmila, what would be your view on Dhampur Sugar?
See, overall, I'm not very in favor of sugar stocks, simply because I think that this is a commodity which is not allowed to really operate very freely, because it is directly linked to inflation. So there will always be some control when prices go out of whack, etc. Having said that, I think Dhampur Sugar on its own looks very richly valued. I mean, you could hold. It's not a bad stock, but I'm saying the valuations are rich and it's a sector that I don't like. So I would really ideally exit the stock.
Okay. This one that I have is coming in from Shankar. He's writing to us from Tuticorin. He also has a query on Bandhan Bank, which already I believe Forum has spoken about. So that query is it's done. But he wants to know about IDFC First Bank. Sharmila, let me come to you, because he has 5,000 shares of IDFC First Bank. He's purchased about 75 odd rupees. He is in a loss. But do you think that he should look to sell out of it right now already, or stay put with this?
I would stay put, and I will stay put for the long term. I think that among the sort of newer banks, newer private banks, if there is a stock that I like, then it is IDFC First Bank. They had a lot of old issues, which now they have overcome, and the kind of strategy that they have mapped out for themselves going ahead, which is sort of very IT dependent, and the kind of areas that they're focusing on. You just need to give it, I think, a little time for those, that sort of story to play out. So we have seen the stock actually, I've been recommending it for the longest time. So it has moved from 30, 40 levels to, around 75, 80 levels and corrected from there. I think that's those sort of things can happen, in the sort of the long run of the stock. So if you have like a longer term focus in mind, you will need to be now 2 years into the stock. 2 more years into the stock to make money from here is what I'm saying. So if you have that kind of a time horizon, then definitely stay invested.
Next query is from Balaji from Chennai. He's holding few shares of, he's holding 1,200 shares of SAIL. He wants to know whether should he sell or accumulate more. Forum, what would be our short-term view when it comes to SAIL?
Overall, the short-term trend is weak. But what is that there is a bit of a small RSI positive divergence, which indicates that there could be a short-term bounce towards the levels of 135, and it's just hardly just few points away. So I wouldn't suggest that one should be looking at accumulating at these levels, but probably can reduce at 135 and wait for a bit of more consolidation before you take a fresh position in it.
Sharmila, what would be your view on SAIL after the fall that we have seen recently on the back of the Supreme Court announcement? How are you looking at SAIL?
See, the trouble here is valuations, which is not, I don't even know how much we should focus on that. But the point is that to see metal stocks or commodity stocks at these kind of valuations is a little mind-boggling even after the correction. So I'm very positive on metals as a space, and this is one sector that sort of moves with what is happening globally in LME, etc. So if you have the stock, stay invested. But I just think that in terms of valuations, there is no space really. In fact, they look very richly valued to me. So I do have some metal stocks. I'm holding on to them, but I'm not buying fresh.
Well, that was the short-term and the long-term view when it comes to SAIL. With that, let's slip into a short break and we'll address more of your queries post that.
Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET now, and the markets are heading towards the day's highest point. That is Nifty for you. There you go on your screen. 9% uptake, over 200 points gain coming in for the Nifty. Let's take this next query that's coming in from Suresh. He's writing to us from all the way from Dubai, and he has Idea Forge. 2,400 shares at a price of 672 rupees per share. He wants to know whether he should hold or sell. He's saying that the stock was around 855 levels last week and now it's seen a sharp fall. What should he do for him? Idea Forge.
Actually, Idea Forge had posted weak set of numbers, and that is the reason why we've seen a decline from those levels of 850 to closer to around 680. However, now it's forming its base because the fall that we've seen even after post its earnings, there isn't too much of volume, indicating that there's not too much of selling pressure or people are not kind of reducing its position. So from here also, we can expect the stock price to stabilize near the levels of 740 to 750. However, it will take time for the stock price to again move above those levels of 855 because technically there is resistance, and if it takes off those levels of around 855, we can expect some further upside momentum. But at least from a 3 to 4 month time horizon, I'm expecting the stock price to remain closer to 740, 750 levels.
Query is from Anant Nayak from Bangalore. He is holding 15 shares of Birla Corporation, bought at a price of 1,475. He wants to know whether should he add more at current price levels for long term. Sharmila, what would be your view on Birla Corp?
Yes, I think you can add at these levels. The valuations look reasonable, results were okay. So yes, I think this is a stock that can be added at this level.
All right, this one is coming in from a viewer from Muscat. It's Shiva who's writing to us from Muscat. He wants to know more about Avalon Tech. Sharmila, do you track this one? He's bought it at around 480 rupees per share. He's looking to hold on to this one for the next 3 years. But what's your take coming in on it?
Once again, I think that the valuations look a little expensive. Having said that, I think the sector that the stock belongs to, there could be, if you're a longer term investor, you could, sort of expect that there could be some improvement going ahead, because overall this is a space that has been in the buzz and in terms of orders, etc. So I think stay put, watch the earnings for a bit, because I think the last quarter was not that great a quarter for them and valuations look a little expensive. So that said, I think as we are saying, you can stay invested for now since you bought it, and continue to track the numbers. Really speaking, only because I like the sector that the stock is in.
Next query is from Sridhar from Bangalore. Again, he's holding, he wants to know whether should he buy CDSL at current levels for long term, say for more than 2 years. Sharmila, good time to buy CDSL?
Yes, not just CDSL, I think anything that is linked to the markets, simply because we all know that the kind of rally that our markets have witnessed has been greatly in part of the fact that retail participation in the market has increased. If you look at the kind of data that we have in terms of population and the number of people who are an active part of equity markets or any mutual funds or in any form, then there is a lot of scope for growth. So if you keep that in mind, and the fact that we are a developing economy, then I think it makes perfect sense to be positioned in some or the other play which benefits from markets doing well. CDSL is definitely one such name. So if you are a long-term investor, you can definitely continue to either buy or continue to hold CDSL if you have.
All right, let's take this query coming in from Puneet. He's writing to us from Gurgaon. This one is for you, Forum. He's asking for RailTel, 200 shares of RailTel that he's purchased at levels of 526 rupees per share, 30 shares of Garden Reach at a price of around 2,280 rupees per share. He wants to know whether it makes sense now to go ahead and average out his holding in these counters, and what's your view coming in for the next 2 months or so. Notably, the stocks, both of them, are off his buy price.
To begin with RailTel, I think it's good. One can look at averaging it also if he wants to add in more. However, from the 2-month perspective, the stock price, what I am expecting that it can remain between around 550 to around 600 levels. It may not mark a new high. At the same time, as an investment, more than 2 months, it seems to be much more better. So it's advisable that he can look at averaging it, but just to increase the horizon by more than 2 months and keep it for 6 months, where he can see a good profitable move in his position. And the next one, as you mentioned, is Garden Reach.
Garden Reach is the counter.
Yeah. So in Garden Reach, also good support levels as of right now. However, I would suggest you him to wait for a lower level to add in closer to around 1780, which is more like a 61.8% retracement of its move from 1,130 to nearly 2,830. It requires some more bullish reversal signs, which right now I cannot see. But definitely a lower level of 1780 can be considered for averaging, and can look for an upside of closer to around 2,200 in the next 2 months or so, where I can see it stabilizing there. But long-term picture remains bullish.
All right, with that, let's kickstart with the rapid fire then. And the first one coming your way, Sharmila. This one is coming from Sunita Rai from Bangalore. Red tape is the counter that she is looking for a long-term investment. What's your take? Do you track this one?
No, I'm sorry, I don't.
The next one is from Krishna from Bangalore. He is holding 150 shares of ITC. Should he continue to hold or buy more? Any target price on this forum?
He can consider adding it, and he can look for a target price of closer to 520 levels.
All right, we have a viewer, Deepak, who is looking to buy Lemon Tree and Indian Hotels. Out of the two, for the medium term, which one do you think makes sense, Sharmila? Lemon Tree or Indian Hotels?
I like both stocks. No, I like both stocks, I think. But I don't know about medium term. That you can check in the forum. But from a longer term perspective, thumbs up for both stocks.
The next query is from Ramki from Delhi. She is holding CG Power around 310 shares. Should she continue to hold this going forward? Forum, any view on this? CG Power?
She should continue holding on to it. A strict stop loss below the levels of 667. And for the near term, she can look for nearly 750 to 760 as an upside target.
Coming back to your forum, MBCC, 185 is the buy price. Our viewer has bought this one, Pooja Jain, that is. What's your view coming in for NBCC?
She can continue to hold on to it, a strict stop loss below 160, and on the upside, it's capped to closer to 190 to 195, where she can consider reducing her position.
Well, the next query is on Angel One. Sharmila, do you think it's worth holding this counter? The person is sitting on a loss of nearly 25% currently.
Yes, I think you can continue to hold.
Okay, a tough question then, Sharmila. This one is coming in from Rohit from Pune. He wants to know which is a good company for a fresh investment today. He is looking to recover the losses that he's already made in Tata Steel.
Okay, so that's a tough one. I think we spoke of IDFC First Bank. That could be a stock that could be.
All right, IDFC First Bank is the stock that you are mentioning. Samit?
The next query is from Shankar from Delhi. He wants to know which hotel stock is good for next 6 months. Lemon Tree, EIH or Chalet Hotels. Forum, what would be your view here?
I think Chalet Hotels is a better pick, and it's a very safe level. Risk reward is much favorable. So Chalet Hotels at these levels are fine. A strict stop loss below 730, and can look for an upside target of closer to around 850 to 900.
All right, and with that, we come to the end of the rapid fire as well as queries. Thank you so much, Sharmila, as well as Forum, for being part of the show and resolving all of our stock-related queries. And with that, it's a goodbye from Samit, myself, and the team that put the show together. Thank you so much for watching. See you next week.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.